guys, what's up? It's TheBronyCrafter, and today, welcome to another Milo reaction. So today, I'm going to be reacting to Why Cartoons Are Not Just for Kids by Saberspark. Saberspark is a funny guy, and this could actually make some good points. So why not watch it? You know. So, let's start this in 3, 2, 1, play.
In the early 20th century, a new form of art was born, and it has grown immensely ever since. Of course, I am talking about cartoons. They are now a huge part of creative culture, and hold a special place in the world of entertainment, from Hanna-Barbera to Warner Brothers to Disney. There are many iconic characters that are loved by millions throughout the globe. Yet there are people who look down on cartoons and see it as something that is beneath them, that it's immature, and should only be for kids. This type of thinking is a stigma, and it's not too uncommon. I actually got to experience it for myself firsthand, and that inspired me to make this video. This is why cartoons aren't just for kids. Back in 2014, I was working as a sales representative for a copier company. Every Monday morning, my sales team would meet and we would talk about our weekends.
Nice suit, bro.
During one of these meetings, I mentioned to the group that I saw How to Train Your Dragon 2, and that I thought it was a great movie. One of my coworkers gave me a strange look and said, "You have no kids. Did you see that movie alone?" I told him that I saw it with a friend. He then said, "That's really weird, man. Why would you see a movie that's meant for children?" This caught me off guard. I was surprised how direct he was being with me about this subject. The conversation was eventually dropped, and the meeting continued. But that exchange of opinions made me wonder, why do some people think this way?
Yeah, why do people think this way?
That cartoons and animation are a lower form of entertainment. In order to find this answer, we need to go back and take a closer look at the history of cartoons. Like I said before, animated cartoons started to appear on the scene in the early 20th century. Some of the first ones include Mickey Mouse, Betty Boop, and Popeye. They were all black and white at the time and would typically play before a feature presentation at the movie theater. That's why you would see gags like this.
Hey, Bud, you in the audience. Where do you think you're going?
Well, Mr. Hillard, this is where I came in.
Well, you sit right back down there till this thing's over, see?
Oh, yeah. I've seen those gags before.
You know that mug's trying to get out of the theater to squeal at the cops.
In a relatively brief amount of time, we went from this
Yeah.
to this. That was quite impressive, considering that this was a new and challenging field of art. There was so much to discover, and many ways to put these cartoons to work, whether it be entertaining an audience or selling war bonds.
Any bonds today? Bonds of freedom, that's what I'm selling. Any bonds today?
That's right. During World War
That-
II, cartoons were being used to sway the support of the people, whether it be rallying the troops or humiliating the Axis powers. You know, for kids.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing, though. During this time, it was primarily adults who would view these animations. Going to the movie theater was considered a formal event and was somewhat of a special occasion. Today, we can hit up a matinee showing, gorge ourselves on a bucket of popcorn while watching the Avengers. But back then, it meant a lot more. It was the equivalent of going to a play or musical. Times have changed, though, and the beginning of that change was when cartoons arrived on television. The television started to arrive into households around the late 1940s, but they were few and far between. By the late 1950s and the early 1960s, TVs had become a lot more common, and the shows were much more diverse. Cartoons were no exception to this, and we started to see a rise
Johnny
of
Quest.
characters.
I remember.
Scooby-Doo, the Flintstones, and the Jetsons, to name a few. When comparing cartoons from the big screen to the television, one of the largest differences was production cost and quality. This made sense, though. Movies were a one-shot deal, while cartoon shows aired often and needed to be completed in a timely manner. That's why you would see backgrounds that would never change.
I don't need to walk around in circles, walk around in circles, walk around in circles.
Around the 1980s, shows such as My Little
Yeah.
Pony, Transformers.
I've seen a couple of Transformers episodes. That was a great
Quite different when
show.
compared to the predecessors. Many of these shows had one goal in mind: mass toys for children.
Yeah, that's the sad truth.
These cartoons could become glorified commercials for their toys. And we see that trend grow in the 80s. This is when I believe the cartoon stigma was born. Adults saw these shows as childish and thought they were only meant for kids. Now, the 1990s were interesting. There were definitely shows that only cared about selling toys, but we saw the rise of television networks that were
And we saw the fall about like 10 or 20 years later.
focused on entertaining their audience rather than selling toys and toys alone. Why the change of heart? Most of these networks were on cable, and that is where ratings and viewership really mattered. Transformers and My Little Pony, though, were on broadcast television, so the quality of the shows did not matter as much. Yet Nick and Cartoon Network, for example, needed to make sure that their shows captivated their audience, so they could earn their viewership. Quality began.
He makes some good points.
But many adults still looked upon these shows as childish and beneath them.
Yeah.
Today, things are very different, and it's unlike anything else from before. After going through a drought from 2006 to 2010-ish, cartoons came back in a big way and are now growing both in numbers, style, plot, and more. What happened? What brought back cartoons from the edge of extinction? I personally think it's due to the kids who grew up in the 80s and 90s. They are older now, and they are practically adults. Now they have the power to choose what they want to watch and consume. This changed the landscape of the world of
Yeah, Amazing World of
entertainment.
Gumball.
Now,
Awesome
companies
show, like I said.
want to make shows that are fun for both adults and their kids, since both demographics can enjoy the show together. I remember walking into my sister's living room and seeing my brother-in-law, who is a police officer,
Oh my god.
watching My Little Pony with my 2-year-old niece. They were both intently watching the show and were really into it. I couldn't help but smile. Not because it was about Pony, but because two different generations were enjoying the same cartoon together. And
That is
quality
pretty
had to
cool.
be sacrificed in order to pander to the children's demographic. That is a huge step towards progress to me, especially for a show that's widely believed to be for little girls. I think nostalgia also plays a huge part in the return of quality cartoon shows. The people who grew up in the 80s and 90s are now grown, and they miss their childhood. Cartoon Fridays are long gone.
Sadly.
Saturday morning cartoon blocks for broadcast television are now a thing of the past. This gap can now be filled by quality shows, and networks are making good on that in every shape and size.
Star vs.
Cartoons
Forces
aren't
of
free
Evil.
for kids either.
I love that
There are
show.
quite a few shows that have adults as their main demographic. Simpsons, Family Guy, and South Park, to name a few classics. And there are some.
Well,
newer
Simpsons is
shows,
kind of
such as Rick and Morty,
older
Bojack Horseman, and Archer.
children and young
The main
adults.
issue with the cartoon stigma is that these shows are exceptions, while everything else is childish and bad. And that simply isn't true. Sweeping generalizations rarely are. When it comes to this stigma, I think back to a quote from C.S. Lewis. Critics who treat adult as a term of approval instead of as merely a descriptive term cannot be adult themselves. To be concerned about being grown up, to admire the grown up because it is grown up, to blush at the suspicion of being childish. These things are the marks of childhood and adolescence. And in childhood and adolescence they are, in moderation, healthy symptoms. Young things ought to want to grow. But to carry on into middle life or even into early manhood, this concern about being adult is a mark of really arrested development. When I was 10, I read fairy tales in secret. Would have been ashamed if I had been 50. Now that I'm 50, I read them
I've been in the same situation,
put away childish things, including the
especially
fear
with
of
MLP.
childishness and the desire to be very grown up. The stigma of being childish has been around for a long time, and cartoons have become a victim of it. Yet today's generation is unlike any other.
I will not make a
It's
Three
more
Stooges
accepting
reference.
than those before it. We are seeing a rise in geek culture in general, and that means people are more open in accepting things that might come across as nerdy or weird. Slowly but surely, progress is being made, and society is shifting in direction. Cartoons are just a small part of that picture, but play an important role nonetheless. I think we can all look back on our childhood and think of a cartoon character that left an impact on us, whether it was finding inner strength, inspiration, laughter, or just someone to relate to. Just because we have grown up doesn't mean we have to let go of things that we loved as kids. They were important to us then, and they can be just as important to us now. Quality does not have an age restriction after all. So, in conclusion, I believe that the cartoon stigma is dying off. Cartoons have changed from the 1980s, and so have people. Yes, there will be people who look down on cartoons, but there will be people who love them too. Yet the fact remains, just because something is a cartoon doesn't automatically make it childish or bad. There are many great pieces of work out there that disprove this. Cartoons are just another form of art for people to enjoy. So, that's all I have to say about that. If I left something out, or if you want to contribute to the discussion, please leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Or in my case, I'll just talk about it. I like this video, and I find it kind of interesting about that he said people widely believe as a little girl show. In my opinion, it still is a little girl show. There are some things that don't make it girly, but there are some things that just kind of show it as a girly show. Do I have to mention Princess Twilight Sparkle? I don't think I have to. So I agree with a lot of his thoughts here. I don't think cartoons are just for kids. Then again, I didn't grow up in the 90s or the 80s, so maybe I just don't have the same mindset. But whatever. So that was it. So let's do it next Saturday. That sounded wrong. Let me do that again. I will see. Oh, by the way, if you guys are wondering if I will do a reaction to the season 5 finale of MLP, I'm going to be doing something else. I'll see y'all later. Peace out.
Raise this barn, raise this